Hi there, beautiful souls. How are you today? How are you feeling after the last video? So, in this gorgeous video, I wanted to share all the beautiful information that came up around my cousin. Like last week, I just got this really heavy feeling in my energy around her. And I had this feeling that something may have happened. That she might need me, or she's thinking of me, or there was just this in my energy, and I just couldn't get her out of my mind, right? Now I have to go back to tell the story, but it's all part of the beautiful awareness that's come through that I wanted to share. So growing up, this cousin was the closest cousin that I had out of all the cousins. We were the closest. And we were just like best friends, and we went through all the conversation with God books together, and we would spend hours, talking about all the beautiful awareness and the things we'd learned, and that our minds had been blown. And we were like, I always thought we'd be like practical magic, those two sisters that with the witches and all that. And that was so close. We were like that at one point, and we thought we were going to grow old together and all those beautiful, notions. And then what happened? She got married, and that was all right. It was all good, for a little bit. And I had my 40th birthday, like going back, we haven't been close in, I'd say, easily it's been 15 years now. And this goes back to my 40th birthday. So what happened was, she was already married. And for all those years, I always blamed his family, that they were, what's the word? They were trying to have her all to themselves. And they didn't want us to be a part of that, but then part of their family, or however you want to call it, because some people are like that. They just hoard a person and they don't want to share them with anyone else, and that's what I thought had happened with my cousin. I thought that, well, now she'd married into this new family and they wanted her all for them, and they didn't want to share her with us because of the beautiful relationship that I had with her. We were so close. But then I had my 40th birthday. This was what's been revealed in the last few days. So when that feeling came up, I thought I have to go into this first. When that feeling came up and I started to think of her, I thought she needed me. And I started recording messages to send to her. And every time I'd press record and I'd start speaking to her, all the memories of these past 15 years were starting to come up. And there were all these moments, and I'm going to share them. So there was the first thing that came up were moments where, I had spent weeks that I hadn't been able to see her, and I would go and visit, and then we'd be together, and she'd get a phone call, right? And she'd spend a good 2 to 3 hours on a phone call while I was there visiting, talking to someone else on the call. And, we were watching a movie or we were doing whatever, and she'd go off to do her phone call while I was there visiting, And those few times I kind of felt like, what was the point of me coming, if you're not going to spend time with me? I had never experienced that with her before. We were always, when we were together, There was nothing more important than us being together until she got married and things changed, So that was one of the experiences that happened a few times. Another one was, this is all going to make sense in a minute, so just bear with me. We've got to go through the victim thing to get to the other side. So I was going through all the moments that I had been a victim with her, as I'm trying to record these messages. That was one of the things that was coming up, how hurtful that was. The other memory was I had spent months knitting this beautiful scarf for her birthday in the color that she wanted. And when I got there, that day to give her that beautiful scarf, she was in this mood, that it was almost like dismissive, like, I don't care, Now, I had a feeling that she had had a fight with someone that day or something had happened, but we never had that energy before. I wasn't used to that between us. We were never like that with each other before she had gotten married, There was always room for us to improve each other's moods. But that day was like, nah, I don't want anything to do with you or anyone else. She was just really, really angry. And I thought, oh, okay, that was that day, after months of knitting this scarf and trying to show her my love, that my love was still there. That came up as I'm trying to record this first message. Delete. I'm not going to send it off because I'm not in the right energy. I was thinking, if she's going through something painful and I'm recording and my energy is remembering all these things that hurt me in the past, these things that she had done, then I'm not in the right energy to record. So I deleted that one. I centered myself. I did a little bit of a meditation and go, okay, let's try and record now. So the second time I went in to record, the memories that were coming up were when she was pregnant and she had her baby shower, and his family, his mom and his sisters, her husband's, when I say her husband's family had put together the baby shower for her. And I went to the baby shower as well as all the other cousins, and we were treated just so rudely that day by his family, It was almost like, oh, because we put this together, we have the right to treat you however we want. It was that attitude, and I'd never experienced that before. I'd never been treated that way before. That so unwanted and unwelcome, in that moment by anyone, Anyway, so I got through that. And then there was the moment, where we went to the hospital where the baby was born. And they're passing this baby around like it's a trophy. And in that moment, his mum was saying to my cousin, her husband's mum, when I say his, I'm always saying, it's her husband, his family. So her mum was passing the baby around, and then she looked directly at my cousin and she said, see, isn't this so much better than a dog? Because my cousin loves dogs. We all do. We do at home as well. To us, they're our babies. We don't see them any different to the children that we have. We love them all the same. And in that moment, I could just hear her heart cracking. Like, I could hear it, my cousin's heart, just a little bit. And I thought I could see how much she was yearning for their approval, for their acceptance. And I just thought, it's not my place to say anything. But in that moment, I thought to myself, how limited are you? How limited is your love? That you can't love both. You can't love your dogs and your children. That was the thought that was crossing my mind. But it was so hurtful to me that I could see her heart breaking and I couldn't say anything. It wasn't my place, to say anything in that moment. I left with my husband. I left all that chaos and I thought, oh, I couldn't, another hurtful moment. As I'm recording this message, this is all coming up. Delete. I can't send it. There's still so much hurtful stuff coming up. That's obviously still in my system. It was still in my system. And I thought, okay, no, I just can't. I have to delete it. Take a deep breath, another meditation for another 10 minutes. Press the record. As I'm recording, more memories coming up. Like almost every hurtful memory that I'd been through was coming up for me to finally look at it, to finally sit with it. So the next memories that were coming up, why am I sharing? Because this might be you. Because you did this to me and you did that to me and you pointing the finger all day long. But wait till you get to the end of these videos. So the next memories that were coming up, I was remembering we were doing Christmas Eves with her after my daughter was born. And we had done, I think, 2 or 3, I can't remember. But by the 4th one, my daughter, just the day before, started coughing. She had this cough. This was before COVID, way before COVID. And anyway, I called up to let her know that my daughter was coughing. This was Christmas, the day before Christmas Eve. It was the 23rd. And she told me not to come. My cousin told me not to come. She didn't want us there because straight after Christmas, they were going to be going on. They were going to the Gold Coast. And she didn't want her daughter getting sick and them getting sick while they were going to be away on holiday. And at the time, she was the only family I had here. My parents were back in South America. My sister she was already on the other side of the world. She wasn't here either. She was practically the only family I had. And on Christmas Eve, to be told, don't come because we don't want to get sick. That just broke my heart. That was the last Christmas Eve I had with them. Because I was thinking of all my beautiful relatives that I have in South America. And they would never have told me don't come because I have something else on after. And I don't want to be sick. Never in a million years would they have left us stranded on Christmas Eve. Nor would I have done that to anyone else. So that was that, And again, it's coming up. There was a reason for all of it. Delete the message. I can't send that message because to me that was the most hurtful thing of all of them. But there was more. As I pressed record to do the next message, I was remembering that she was invited to my baby shower and she never came. And when my baby was born, I didn't see her at the hospital, not once. She would have been more than welcome. Not once did I see her there. So I deleted that message and I thought, you know what? I just can't send this message today. No matter what she's going through, I need to sit with all of this stuff that's coming up. So I sat with it for a couple of days. I sat with it. But the funny thing was, as all of these memories were coming up, I'm remembering my baby shower and she didn't come. And I thought it was because she hadn't been invited, because one of my best friends had put this together for me and they just didn't get on. So I thought, oh, okay. She didn't invite her. And I found out a couple of years later that she did. She told me, I invited your cousin and she didn't come. I was like, oh, no, I didn't know that. So, all of those little things added up. And I'm sitting there looking at all of these events now after deleting all those messages that I wasn't going to send. All of this was coming up for me in this moment. And I'm looking at all of these events, and as I'm looking at it, this beautiful tornado comes through, made of dust, and starts to collect them all up, suck them all up, suck, and take them away. And I thought, okay, they're done. There's nothing I can do about them. They're done. But then came the question that I love to ask about everything. What was I meant to gain from that? Why did I have that experience? Because they were so hurtful at the time. They were so painful coming from her, the being that I was closest to before I married my husband. The closest to. You couldn't get any closer. She was the sister I wish I had had. I just loved her so much. I still love her. But then this is what happened. So they wanted me to present it in this order. On my 40th birthday, which was about 15 years ago now. This all happened before all of that, by the way. It all happened before all of that. Before all those moments that got swept away by the tornado. This came after. Because I really sat with it. I asked to be shown. Why? Why did I go through that? Why? I kept telling myself, oh, we're walking different paths. We got separated because I'm on this path and she's, on her journey, and I can't interfere with that, whatever that looks like. But then came the magic. On my 40th birthday, I had invited all my cousins that are here in Australia. And I had all my beautiful friends, my neighbor. There were kind of two groups at the time that had come through. Now, on that day was one of the few days that I was trying out the drinking thing, the alcohol thing. It was my year, that 40th year, that I decided, okay, I'm going to give this a go. Because up until then, I just couldn't do it. I'd have 2 drinks and I'd get a headache, or it didn't agree with me. This time I thought, you know what, I'll push through it. I'll just push through it to have the experience, because it's what everyone around me was doing. All of them, without exception. Getting drunk. I'd never been drunk before. I didn't know what that was. And on my 40th, I'd made that decision that I was going to get so drunk to the point that I'd have to throw up, which I didn't. So I kind of felt like, but I did pass out and the world was spinning. That was the experience I had. But by the time the cousins came, I'd already had at least 4 or 5 of those like really sweet drinks, which I hadn't had before. I'm trying to think what they're called, cruisers, or the vodka cruisers or something. You can't even taste that it's alcohol. It's just so, it's like lolly water. They're so sweet. I'd had a bunch of those. And then I'd moved on to, I think, the gin and tonics, which I just, anyway. So that was the aim of the party, to get so drunk and to have that experience. So by the time the cousins came, I was kind of half gone anyway, I was already half there. Because they came about 5, 6 in the afternoon, and my friends had come to help me decorate and get the whole place ready for when everyone came. So this was like 2-3 hours before everyone else, and we were already into it, So by the time the cousins left, my mind was gone, like it was a blur. But what was revealed to me years later, in the past, my cousin would have told me straight away. We didn't have any problem saying things to each other, But as they were leaving, this best friend of mine that later on did my beautiful baby shower, she yelled out at the top of her lungs, "Great, now we can all party because the boring people are going." So imagine how that sat with my cousins when they left. Now, at the time, I honestly, with all my heart, cannot remember that comment. I don't even remember being there for that comment. Honestly can't remember it, So when she told me that later, years later, this was like 4 or 5 years later that she told me this, my cousin told me this, that was so hurtful that they were leaving and that my friend said that. And see, this is how things can get really tangled up if you don't approach the person. To me, it was like, but you put it on me like I said it. You're angry with me like I said it. Great, we can all party now because the boring people are going, Those words did not come out of my mouth because to me they were the most sacred, and that they were there, meant so much to me at the time. It meant so much, So I was a bit upset with her that she got so angry about that when I wasn't the one that said it. Those words didn't come out of my mouth. They never would have come out of my mouth, And I really, honestly don't remember my friend saying that at all. I don't remember. I might have been at the front door getting ready because they were all like, we're going now. And, and I had special favors to give to everyone that had come. I had special gifts to give to all of them, to say thank you for coming. So we're going to continue more in the next video, but this is just setting the scene for you to get an idea, because the magic hasn't happened yet. You'll know when it hits. All right, my beautiful beings. But that's where she was at, and that's where it all started. Sometimes that's all it is. Something so simple. Love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. We're going to dive even deeper into it because there is so much more. So much more. But there's always two sides to a story. Always. When you think it's just you and that someone's being unkind to you, they're being cruel to you, they have their side of the story. They have something that they're holding on to. There's something there. There's always something there. It's never for no reason. All right, my beautiful beings. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.